Huh.
All right, now we're live.
All right, we're live.
Now
Hey,
we're
where's
live.
Ash? Where's Ash Scow?
I don't know where she is, but she's definitely missing. I hope to get her on next week though, because
I know we
I
are
don't.
really bummed that you're not here, Ash.
I know we are so mad.
We are totally mad.
I'm not sure if something's up with this. You know what? I think it's all right.
We
I
are
don't.
really bummed that you're not here, Ash.
The
Oh,
this thing. I had trouble starting this thing up, so I think we're all right. Looks like we're live. The
okay.
last couple of times, I got to tell you, the Hangout has been giving me issues. I don't know what it is. It made me reinstall Google Hangouts today, and
Huh.
it crashed a couple of times, and now I get bitrate warnings, and I mean those have been happening for months, but I don't know what it is. There's got to be a better way to do
I know.
this.
Doesn't Ralph use Skype or something like that? I thought he
We
somehow
used to
combined
use Skype,
Skype.
yeah, but that's when we had an actual podcast, and we used to record
Oh,
it and put it up that way. So I don't know if we can still do that.
yeah. That's okay.
I mean, we could. I just don't know how much it. We have to run a. I think you got to run a space to. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
would be better if it was a regular podcast, though. I agree because this is getting annoying with this dropouts and whatever. So,
Yeah, too many weird problems.
all right, we got 3 online here.
They
Last
thought
week
Ash would be on, but Ash ditched us.
Ash ditched us, but she will be on next week, though. So, all of you should come back next week. All 3 of you for the. We actually had a pretty decent listen last week. I think we got over. I don't know what it was, over 100 and something. I'm not sure. When I get Ralph on, I'll go over 200 usually, but last week was over 100. And Warpig should be here. I don't know what the delay is there, but anyway, we're gonna get started. So, Professor,
He's playing Fallout.
I want to get right. Yeah, he's playing Fallout. In fact, I should have tweeted this, but somebody tweet this. Professor's going to review Dark Souls 3, and let's get that out there. So we missed it last week because unfortunately I had to cancel, and this week we're going to try to keep it to the hour. I keep saying that, and we never stick to the hour, but we're going to try to. Professor's got emails to answer. We got stuff going on here. So.
Oh man, that's mean.
Oh, there's Daddy Warpig. How you doing?
I want to see the chat. Hey, no one's chatting.
No one's chatting. I know, that's weird. They're
messed up.
Quiet tonight. So
it's
Professor,
probably Ash watching us and making sure we don't say anything about her.
making sure she can come on the show without getting fired.
Yeah. Did you want me to give the Dark Souls 3 review?
Yeah, let's go right into it. Let's get Dark Souls 3 out there.
Yeah, normally I don't like reviewing games unless I finish them. But you know me, I love the Dark Souls series. And me and Bacon had played Bloodborne, and I was hoping to get him hooked on Dark Souls 3, but he hasn't bought it yet. So I'm kind of disappointed in you, Bacon.
Listen, the division with me, so...
Yeah, I know. Now, I love the game. So you can think of it as Bloodborne. So a lot of the Dark Souls games are they're not that fast. So Bloodborne was kind of nice because you had that quick stepping and you could dash in and out and hit the monsters, and it was a much faster game than the other Dark Souls or the Demon Souls in the past. And right. So you get that same speed in Bloodborne now in Dark Souls, and you get more difficult monsters is the way I feel like they're much harder than the ones in Bloodborne, especially early on. I had a lot of problems beating the bosses. Like in Bloodborne, for the first couple of bosses, I didn't die at all. I beat the first boss without dying. Then every other time I've died about between 5 and 10 times. So I think the bosses are more difficult. The regular enemies are more difficult. They fly up in the air and go behind you and throw stuff at you. So I guess the bottom line is I'm really enjoying the game because I like the fast play. The co-op is kind of fun. This game encourages you to invade. I don't like invading because I think those people are jerks. That invade you. I hate being invaded, so I don't invade people. But boy, it's like every level it seems like I'm invaded at least twice, and it's kind of fun. You don't lose as much when you get invaded. And in past Dark Souls, if you got invaded, your health would be cut in half. or it'd be cut a drastic amount permanently,
Right.
and what happened? You'd turn all shriveled. So they don't have that kind of penalty in Dark Souls 3. You still get hollow, which is where you look all shriveled, but you don't lose a lot of your health permanently unless you burn something. I forgot how it works. But yeah, I love the game. I give it an A so far.
And you can't be hollow, right? And still call for help when you're trying to do a boss. Is that how that's how it worked in Dark Souls 1, right?
Oh, no, you have to. I forgot what you had to eat in Dark Souls to become unhollow. But in Dark Souls 3, you have to eat an ember, and then you become unhollow, and then you can call for help. Oh, you're right. If you die, you can't call for help. You have to eat this thing called an ember, and that cures you, and then you can call for help. But
All
yeah,
right.
great game. Come on, Bacon, get it. Come on, Warpig, get this game.
I am not going to be getting that game. But, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Dark Souls 1, irritated me past the point of me ever playing another one of those games. But I'm not even going to bother. Plus, I do have Dark Souls. My brother gave me Dark Souls 2. It's just sitting there. He brought it over because I enjoyed Bloodborne so much that he said,
Yeah.
now you'll enjoy Dark Souls 2. And I never even bothered putting it in. I don't think I'll ever bother putting it in. But
Yeah, it's too slow compared to Bloodborne since you finished Bloodborne, and yeah, I don't think you'll enjoy Dark Souls 2. But I think you will enjoy Dark Souls 3 because it feels like Bloodborne. Again, in terms of the speed and the monsters, it's a little bit harder. But you get better equipment in Dark Souls 3. I should have mentioned that. Dark Souls or Bloodborne didn't have that much variety in terms of the armor and in terms of the weapons. And
right.
what was that, Bloodborne? Or in Dark Souls 3, yeah, you have a lot of variety.
Well,
So
I'll tell you what. I found Bloodborne 1 to be extremely repetitive. It was a grind. I don't mind grinding. I mean, I've played more RPGs than you can possibly imagine. And look, I beat Ghosts and Goblins. I know a grind. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah, those old games were much harder.
yeah. I'm not against grinding. I had no problem with that. But the way that the alleged checkpoints were spaced out with the fireplace, the fires that you had to find, I felt like exploration was somewhat penalized because if you stepped into an area you weren't ready for and you got instantly slaughtered, which happened to me a number of times, then you were sent back. It took you 45 minutes to fight your way to wherever. You still haven't found a fire pit, and then you die, and then you're back way back where you started, and then you fight the same guys over and over and
Oh yeah,
again,
yeah.
just trying to gain an inch of ground. You know what I'm saying? I played one night. My brother and I played one night. I'll show you why this game is so great. We played for 2 hours. We never found another checkpoint. We literally didn't gain an inch of ground. And I said to him, I said, I just don't see how this is fun. I've fought the same monsters literally 35, 40 times, and I don't see how this is any fun. So I gave up.
Yeah, you do have to grind a lot, even in Dark Souls 3, because the levels are so hard that you have to like build up all your stats before you can tackle the next level. But
It's
yeah,
just a matter, plus I got lost a couple of times. There was that one area where you kept getting poisoned, and I think I'm talking Dark Souls 1 now. I think the spider was the boss at the end of it. And that there's like no map or anything to tell you where to go, and you're up in trees, and it's sort of like a maze.
yeah,
And if you don't know where you're going, you're gonna get killed and go all the way back to the beginning of that particular level, which you just would take me hours just to get to the boss, where I would fight
yeah.
and die and then go back 2 hours. It's like you needed a week just to get to the boss, and I don't know what was it. Just wasn't. There's hard, and then there's poorly spaced out with no
Oh
checkpoints.
yeah.
I just didn't. I didn't think I think Dark Souls is overrated, and I yeah, people like my brother, he beats it, and he thinks it's some kind of badge of gamer honor. I don't think he really. If
Wait, it
I
is.
if I could do like a Vulcan mind meld with him, I think I'd find he didn't like it as much as he says he likes it, but he just likes telling people that he beat it. I suspect a lot of Dark Souls fans, were they honest, would say, yeah, there was parts of that game that were extremely boring and way too difficult, and just unnecessarily grinding.
Yeah, I'll admit that. But what I like about it is I think, like you and I know how hard those old games were in the '90s, the Ghouls and
Oh
Goblins.
yeah.
I think Dark Souls comes the closest to that level of difficulty. But yeah, those old 8-bit games on the old consoles, they were much harder.
They were much harder, but the thing is, though, when I was playing Ghosts and Goblins, for example, or even Contra, I never like put the controller down and said, "Shit, this is boring. I am getting so sick of fighting these same guys over and over." I just never said that. With Dark Souls, I did. Repeatedly, I said, "That's enough. I've had enough of this," and I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I like the lore of it. I always thought the graphics were good. The monsters were clever. Some of them were really, really good looking monsters. They were unique. I just didn't. I just couldn't get into it. I got bored with it. That's all I can say. I just kept fighting the same monsters over and over again. Just got boring to me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll give you
Uh,
that.
Plus, Bloodborne 2, like I said, I have it on the Xbox because of the or not Bloodborne 2. I'm sorry, Dark Souls 2. Because of the disconnecting controller issue that I have, there's no way I can play it because if you lose the ability to control your guy for even a half a second in that
Yeah,
game, I'm
you're
gonna
dead.
die 1,000 times. So
You have to tell Nels to stop playing tricks on you. That's she's the one disconnecting the controller.
I know somebody's affecting the controller. So
It's
all right,
Nels.
so Daddy, we're paying.
Yeah,
I saw you jump in there. How you doing?
same as always.
All right,
How's it
Daddy.
going?
Can you not
I
hear
cannot
me?
hear him. Oh,
Yeah.
I can hear you now. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Same as always. That's
I get this. I've had this issue for the past couple of weeks with this thing where the sound is dropping out on the. It's like stuttering. I don't know. I've tested the internet connection and it's fine, but for some reason, Google Hangouts is just stuttering for me. I don't know what the hell's going on. I might just have to. Maybe next week I'll just try a different browser and see if it's the browser, but I don't know. So all right, Professor. So here's the deal. I go to a Trump rally, right?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Now I can't hear anybody. Maybe so. It's probably me. Maybe I dropped out.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Did I drop out entirely?
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh,
The
okay. No, I
Hangouts
can
just
hear
keeps.
you. I can't hear Daddy.
that's because I'm not talking.
Okay, there we go.
I know that's kind of surprising. You don't expect that of me, but
I know.
it is nonetheless
I don't.
true.
I'm gonna have to deal with this later, but I'll have to deal with this stuttering Google Hangout issue I'm having. So all right. So I go to the Trump rally, Professor, and you know what I think it is? I think it's if I have the YouTube thing open in one tab so I can read the chat, and the Hangout open in another is when it starts to choke. So maybe I'm just not supposed to be able to do that.
Well,
Or maybe it's just not.
make sure to hit pause on the YouTube thing.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Well, anyway, screw it. So, okay, Professor. So here's the deal. I go to a Trump rally. Okay, I get the tickets. It's the Albany Times Union Center,
Uh-huh.
and Warpig, you'll get a kick out of this too. So I go now. I've been there many times. We have a local hockey team there. The Albany Devils farm team plays there. So I've seen a bunch of games there. And we used to have an arena football team there. And I saw Billy Joel and Elton John there. Terrific concert. It's a nice little arena. I think it takes, I don't know, 21,000, something like that.
Okay.
So, all right, so we go in, okay, and for the most part, I'd say it's a pretty well-controlled crowd of people. The announcer tells you when you get in the seats, he must have said it a dozen times. If you see protesters, don't touch them, don't hurt them, leave them alone, tell security, and they'll escort them out. I mean,
Oh no.
I'm talking
You hit a
40
protester?
minutes.
Was that you in the hat that one time? You know that.
No, that's not me. So they're giving this announcement a good 45 minutes before Trump even takes the stage, okay? And so he takes the stage, and it's the first thing that he says. It's the first words out of his mouth. If you see a protester, don't hurt them, don't touch them, don't instigate with them, but hold the Trump sign up and yell Trump, and so security can see you, and somebody will come and get them out. And there was a handful of them, and you'd hear a little section of people start chanting Trump, 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 and you'd look over and you'd see some jackass hippie, and security would come over and get him out. And now Trump points to him, and he kept saying, "Don't touch him, don't hurt him, just get him out of here." That's all he would say, don't hurt him. And so they would come and they would remove them. Now, there was a few. I didn't see any skirmishes. I didn't see any skirmishes. There was one incident not too far from me where a Trump supporter gave a guy a little bit of a shove. The local media, made it out to be a bigger deal than it was. It was a brawl, I think they called it, or a scuffle at the Trump rally. That's, of course, their headline, even though it was a mostly peaceful rally, and one jackass decided to. Now, I saw what happened from where I was sitting. The one protester who, what they do is they slink in there. They don't look like protesters. They slink in. They have like a Trump sign, and then halfway through the show, they drop their signs, and then they start chanting, and they take one shirt off, and they have some other hippie shirt down underneath that says something stupid like Bernie or whatever. So that's what the guy did, and he just got into this guy's face, and he was yelling, and the guy was talking back to him, and I think he warned him. From where I was standing, it clearly looked like, if you're not a complete moron and you can read body language, it clearly the guy was trying to tell him that you're too close, and I don't want you screaming in my face. And finally he gave him a shove, and it wasn't a big deal. That was the end of it. Security was already there by the time he did it, and so they pulled him out. But it wasn't really a big thing.
Wow.
90% of the rally, 99% of the rally, it was completely peaceful. There was protesters outside, not as many as you would think. The place was packed. It was full to capacity. I've never seen it full to capacity. The Albany Devil farm team has never had that place anywhere near as full as it was during the Trump rally. I promise you that. The only time I've seen it that full was the Billy Joel Elton John concert, which was obviously sold out. But there was a good 20,000 people in there. There's no question.
Huh.
Outside, there was some protesters. One. Now, first of all, I'll say this. One of the things the local media did not cover, which surprised me a little bit, is that there were a fair number of black Trump supporters inside of that rally. But I looked through the photos that the local press put online, the Times-Union, for example, which coincidentally owns the venue, and you didn't see any of them. I saw them. They were all around me. And I was actually surprised at the number that I saw. There was more than I thought would be there. But there were people of all stripes and colors. I'm talking age. There was women. There was black people. I saw Hispanics. I mean, it wasn't a white hillbilly redneck. We weren't all just sitting around spitting tobacco into spittoons or anything. It was a pretty diverse, broad section of people.
Any Asians?
You know something? I actually thought that. I didn't see any Asians. I did not see any Asians.
Discrimination.
There was probably some discrimination going on.
Rallies.
Now, outside, as I'm walking out, the only experience I had that was strange, okay, I got funneled out past the protesters, so you got to walk through a cloud of that patchouli oil and rainbow flags and whatever else the hippies are up to. You make your way through that nonsense, right? And then this black lady, completely unhinged, gets right in my face and says, "Go ahead, lay your fucking hands on me." And I start chuckling. I said, "What?" My friend and I were there. We both had Trump shirts on, you know. We just kind of chuckle, and she said, "Go ahead, touch me. You want to touch me? You lay your hands on me. I'm not like my ancestors. You Trump people want to kick my ass. You try to kick my head." Like, on and on, like louder and louder, and like just kept stepping in front of us, and as we tried to walk around her, and I mean, just completely nuts, and clearly trying to bait someone into doing something. I don't know what her thought was. It'll get me on the news, or it'll show what a jerk Trump is if this guy finally shoves me out of the way, or I don't know really the thought process, such as it is with someone that stupid, what the thought process was. But that was the only craziness that I saw the entire rally. For the most part, totally peaceful.
And what was it
I had
like?
a great time.
What did he talk about? I mean, besides making America great again.
Yeah, well, at that particular point in time, he talked about the wall. He talked about. He said that he had been asked by someone in the crowd. I don't know who it was. It might have been. There was a few state senators there, I think, and I can't remember their names now. How he intended to pay for the wall, and he said, well, it's pretty simple. We have, when you run a $58 billion trade deficit with Mexico, you have some leverage, and if you use that leverage, then they'll pay for the wall. I'm not saying they'll come over with a sack of dollars and hand me the cash. I'm saying that one way or the other, we have enough leverage to get them to pay for some of that border security. We run a $58 billion deficit. They want us to continue to run a $58 billion deficit, and we don't use that leverage very wisely when we should. We have the leverage. We should use it. He said, look at Saudi Arabia, for example. We're a nation that provides security to many countries in the world, such as Germany, Japan, where we have a true presence, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, but we don't get any. This is where he said he was talking about the United Nations again and NATO, and he was saying, look, no one provides more security to more countries in the entire world than the United States, and no one gets less compensation for that than we do. We provide that security for free, and frankly, when you're $21 trillion in debt, there comes a point in time where, you know, it's a nice luxury, but we have to maybe get compensated for that. Saudi Arabia, at the height of the oil boom, was making $1 billion a day. They ask us for protection, for help, for leverage. We give it to them. We don't charge them. They have the money. They're a very rich nation. Why don't we get a little of that back?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So there was a lot more foreign policy talk than I thought there would be, but not really surprising to me.
And John Kasich.
He never really mentioned Kasich. There was a couple of Lion Ted chants. Lion Ted. That was really, really, really fun. He got on Hillary a little bit
Really?
about her Wall Street connections and how she likes to say that she's an outsider. But don't forget, last week, right before, her Chelsea had joined a $1 billion hedge fund, which gives her now, I think, 3, because her husband's also a hedge fund manager, so there are now, I think, 3 billion-dollar hedge fund managers in Mrs. Anti-Wall Street's family. So, he liked to discuss that. So, he got into that a little bit. Talked a little bit about the New York values thing, which I particularly didn't care for, because I know what Ted Cruz meant when he said it, and to try to distort that, I think is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a Trump supporter, but that doesn't mean I believe, that everything that comes out of his mouth is accurate. I think, it was unfair to paint Cruz in that light, to say that New York values implied something like New York sucks, even though New York does suck. Clearly, Cruz was trying to
make
say
that like an anti-Semitic remark, or
someone did. It wasn't Trump that said that. He said New York values is, resiliency, and look at what we did after 9/11, and I like New York's values, which is fine. I understand the message. I get why he said it. I mean, he's in New York, and people in New York were mad at Cruz, so it made sense for him to play it up. But when Cruz said what he said, he was clearly trying to imply that, when New York cranks out these liberal politicians one after another, and that's what a New York value is. Everyone who listened to that knows that that's what he meant. And trying to take that some other way is disingenuous at best, and stretching the truth without a doubt. So I don't care for the way that Trump used that. And frankly, I don't think he was even gonna use it like that until the backlash in New York. That was something I didn't expect. People were a lot more angry about it than I thought they would be. So I think after a while he decided that he had no choice but to use it, because it was just such a good tool.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it was. I mean, there was foreign policy talk, there was Wall Street, there was jobs talk, there was plenty of jobs talk. And, upstate New York, especially when you get out towards Rochester, Syracuse, Binghamton, those places have suffered in, the last 10 years. So there was a lot of talk about job loss.
He really won that New York State, right? 89 delegates?
I
Something.
looked at the map today, and as far as I can tell, he won every county.
Oh, is that right?
I can't find a county that he didn't win. There might be one that I mean, maybe the map I looked at was not updated, but I didn't see one that he lost. And so he was, I think, I'd have to look, but I think he was at like 61% or something the last time I saw the tally.
Oh, okay.
So I think Trump won about 61% of the vote. And of course, here's the thing too, that they try to make a big deal out of the fact that there weren't a lot. Okay, was there like 600,000 or something Republicans that voted in the primary? But it's New York. I don't know how they found 600,000 Republicans in New York total. So
I know.
that's a pretty decent turnout. Now, the opposite is true if you look at Hillary. She lost virtually every county, but she won downstate. And because New York City is like a cancerous boil on the ass of New York, they rule everything. Because she wins down there, she wins the state.
Oh, because that's the biggest population. Is that how it works?
That's where they turn out. Yeah, and that's where the liberals turn out down there. That's why, I mean, they have, in a way, I'm a little surprised because Bernie's from Brooklyn, and they have a socialist mayor. So it seemed like the perfect marriage that they would turn out for Bernie, but for some reason they didn't. I'm not sure. I'd have to. It'd be an interesting study to see why they didn't turn out for him. But
Every single time I mention that on Facebook, I get a bunch of people on Facebook or Twitter who get all butthurt that I'm calling Bernie a socialist or a communist or whatever. Look, he was a self-described socialist who belonged to the Socialist Party, who
Right.
called himself a socialist for 30 years, who supported the Castros, for the love of God. He's a socialist, okay?
Yeah.
You can't
Right.
prove that? What the hell do you mean I can't prove that?
that is not a stretch. You
He's a
can't.
democratic socialist.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what a made-up bullshit word that is.
I know.
It's like somebody saying, yeah, Jason uses a Macintosh, and somebody jumping up and screaming, you can't prove that, you take that back, that's such an insult. Like, how many times do I have to say I use a Macintosh before that's actual proof?
Well, I use a Mac, but I identify as a PC user.
I feel bad for you guys. I can't believe you use Macs. I'm
Yeah,
disappointed.
but I identify as a PC user, so that's what I prefer to be called, a PC
Did you
user.
see that video I linked to you last week? Where
What's that?
this short 5'3" white guy is going around and talking to all these college students and telling them, well, what if I told
Oh,
you
yeah.
I was a 6'5" Asian woman?
Oh yeah, that was great. That was awesome.
That was a great video. You should link that to the YouTube comment section if you have it, because that was a great video.
I know. Well, that is awesome.
Allegedly still waiting on Ralph, by the way. He's 50-50 on whether he's going to jump in here, so I don't know.
What's he doing?
His cat got burned by hot coffee again.
Right, his cat is he's got cat troubles. Give his cat PR or something like that. Now, I do want to mention too that because just before I came on, I didn't dig too far into the story, just far enough to know that it's freaking outrageous to me. It's outrageous that the NHL today, apparently last night during the Blackhawks game, there was a fight, and one of the Blackhawks players in the middle of the fight got angry and yelled "fag" at another player, and someone heard it. So this afternoon he was suspended from the NHL, which means he'll miss the next playoff game. And while he's suspended, he will have to undergo mandatory sensitivity training. So that's where we're at now.
Sensitivity training for a hockey player?
Yeah,
I know.
for a hockey player.
So it's okay to beat someone in the face and knock out teeth, but by gum and by golly, if you utter a minor slur,
Right.
you're banned for life.
You're banned for life. That's where we're at with the sensitivity levels today. Now, also near me, at a college, is it Union College? Skidmore, I think. It's at Skidmore. There is a protest, or there was this afternoon, underway.
I'm sorry, I've just got one question.
Yeah.
What faggot at the NHL made that decision? Sorry, all the people I know from 4chan would hate me forever, from 8chan would hate me forever if I didn't ask that question.
I didn't even hear it. It broke up on me. Say it again.
Oh, no, that's okay. You don't want to hear it. You just better hope Ash isn't listening right now, because she's... Am I the disreputable person on this podcast? Is that my job? Am I always the person
did
saying
you
all the
not hear
offensive
me get
things?
angry? Maybe you didn't hear my 20-minute rant on transvestites 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay, I'm clear. I'm fine. I'm cool.
It's definitely me. If anyone's going to get the professor fired, it's going to be me.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so at local college, okay, Skidmore College, there's a protest that started this afternoon, and here's why. A girl, allegedly, I don't know, took her shirt off and just decided to suntan in the middle of the campus. And
Wearing a
when
bra
the
or
campus
completely
police
topless?
asked her to put her shirt back on, she said, why? Completely topless. Then they said, well, you're a girl and you can't walk around campus topless. And she said, I don't identify as a girl. I am androgynous. I am not either sex. so I don't have to
Are
wear
you
a shirt.
sure?
And so they did force her to put her shirt back on, but now there is a protest happening on the campus because androgynous students should not have to wear clothing, I guess, on campus. So
Wait,
that's
what? On
that's
campus
where we're
it
at.
was?
It was on campus. Yeah, the protest is currently on campus right now.
No, but what college?
I believe it was Skidmore.
Oh, okay.
It's a local college. It's 20 minutes from me, so it's
See, before I have an opinion on this position, I feel like I really need to understand how hot the college chick was.
Well, I would imagine if she's running around screaming that she's androgynous, there's not much to look at. But I haven't seen the picture.
That's a good point. Really, the only person who pulled off androgynous well was David Bowie, and he didn't even do it for that long. So,
Right. Right. He didn't know.
I mean, once Labyrinth came out, that was shot. I mean, you knew David Bowie wasn't androgynous after those tights. I mean,
It was a nice try.
everybody
Though.
knew.
Let's see. Now, on top of that, also, let's talk about this, Professor. Let's see what you think about this.
Okay.
Target announced that they are going to now allow you to use whatever bathroom you feel like. If you're a girl that day, you can use the ladies' room. That's the way that's their new store policy. So girls can use the ladies' room, or guys can use the ladies' room. Girls can go in the men's room. Whatever they want.
Why don't they just remove the? See, I think Target's virtue signaling because what they could do is just remove the signs and just say bathroom. Remove the gender on the signs and just say bathroom. But they're keeping the gender on the signs so that they can say, "Oh, look how open-minded I am." I think a lot of people are using this issue to virtue signal, and Target is
Of course they are. I mean, because look, the whole transgender thing is that there's a small, tiny sliver of the population causing a ridiculous uproar that we frankly shouldn't even be listening to. It's absolutely nonsensical. We're having a national conversation about whether 10 people should be forced to use the bathroom with a dick. And look, here's what's going to happen. Eventually, some guy is going to find a guy in the bathroom with his daughter, and he's going to beat the holy shit out of him.
Yeah.
The guy's going to deserve it. I don't care what they say. The guy's going to have it coming, and then there's going to be a lawsuit, or someone's going to get raped. This isn't going to end well. There's no way that this ends well.
Right, and I think you hit the nail on the head, which is it's a small percentage of the population, and also, more importantly, it's well, I guess I don't want to say more because I don't want to get in trouble. But let's just say it's not like they're being denied the right to go to the bathroom. They just want to choose a particular bathroom. And the people I discuss this with, they say things like, but equal protection. We should have the equality is guaranteed in the Constitution through the 14th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause. But I don't know. That it just doesn't seem right because they're not being prevented from using the bathroom. They just want to use a particular bathroom.
This is not an issue of equality. What this is an issue of people who have a mental illness making the entire country play make-believe with them so that they can feel like they're not mentally ill when they are. If you look at all right, here's the thing. The Human Ken doll the other day, there's an entire story on him. They declared him mentally incompetent. He's had $400,000 worth of plastic surgery so he can look like a Ken doll. Now I ask you, what is the difference? He thinks he's a Ken doll. He wants to be a Ken doll. How is that a mental illness?
Did you hear the last thing that happened to that poor sumbitch? He's
No.
got now
Nose rot.
necrosis in his nose.
Yeah. His nose is rotting. It's falling.
It's dying. He's got. If you have blood cut off from the cells, they just die. And somewhere in his nose, all his operations have messed up his nose to the point where cells in his nose are not getting enough blood, and they're dead. I mean, they're dying, but the rot is spreading.
Yeah. I think Michael Jackson was rumored to have it. Remember, for years.
Oh, yeah.
Now there was a guy who got some heavy heavy cosmetic surgery. But the Ken doll kind of makes Michael Jackson look like an amateur.
Yeah, he really does. 400,000. First of all, where did this psychopath get $400,000?
He works as an airline, I don't know, attendant, stewardess, whatever.
Okay, so I'm in the wrong line of work then. He made $500,000 doing that.
Wow.
And he did it over 10 years, so...
All right, so I guess here's the thing. Where do you draw the line? If you think you're a dragon now, that you can go and get surgery until you look like a dragon. If you think you're a Ken doll, you get surgery until you look like a Ken doll. If you think you're a man, or a girl, you get surgery until you look like a girl. If you think you're blind, your therapist pours bleach in your eyes until you can't see. These are all legitimate things. These all happen. So what's next?
I mean, that's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to call it a mental illness. I think we still need to study this more.
I do.
It is something strange. I don't understand it, and I'm open to someone explaining, the whole situation to me.
Well, I'd like someone to explain the difference then where it ends, because if we have to participate in this delusion that if some guy walks up to me and says she's a girl and I'm supposed to play make believe and say, oh yes, of course you're a girl, where does that end? If someone comes up and says they're a dragon, am I supposed to make believe with that too? Or, I mean, what world, if they think they can fly, do we let them jump off of buildings? I mean, this isn't equality. This is untreated mental illness running rampant through our society, and it's endangering people. This is where political correctness endangers people. When some woman wakes up roofied or raped and beaten on the Target bathroom floor, we're not going to be saying how stunning and brave this decision was. We're going to peel her off the floor. She's going to sue the shit out of everyone who came within 10 feet of her. And then what's going to happen? Who's going to be the victim in that case?
Right.
It is...
Don't tell me it won't happen. It'll happen.
The point of that whole video was that it doesn't end anywhere. Once you've passed a certain point, people are now no longer... They have ceded the ability... I call it intellectual castration. Okay? Or intellectual auto-castration. They have castrated themselves intellectually to where they can no longer think. They can no longer take in evidence, analyze the evidence, and come to a correct conclusion. Either that or they can, and they refuse to say the correct conclusion because it makes them look bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. Come on. We have objective, measurable reality. You can look at someone's sexual organs and 100% reliably say this is... a male organ, and this is a female organ.
Or God forbid,
this looks different from this, and here's why. And you can't just make up, you can't say one is the other, because it's not. You can physically see it's not. I don't understand how you can, and I agree with you, Daddy. Once you decide there's no truth in the world, then anything goes. And anything can be labeled anything else as long as one person decides, oh, I think this X is a Y.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, see, I've decided. I'm still waiting for somebody to come and help me because I've decided I'm trans rich.
Yeah. Oh.
So I'm just waiting for the program to help me. The operation, the bank account operation, to help me truly become rich like I am inside. Because I identify as a rich person.
I do too. That's a good point. So if I walk into a bank and I say, look, I identify as rich, give me several $1,000s, is that... Or what if I... Here's another thing. What if I walked into a federal building tomorrow and said, "Hey guys, what's up? I want to apply for the grant that's just for women that lets me do whatever."
Right.
What happens then? Do they take that grant away from an actual woman and give it to me? Or do you take that grant away from Brianna Wu?
I saw that there was someone had looked at that university that was now offering scholarships to illegal aliens.
Uh-huh.
They said that if you are a white male, you're actually better off pretending to be an illegal Hispanic because you will get more money and more support from the school than you will as a white male.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone hates white males. Who likes white males? So, they're awful.
These people are so hypocritical because You know, if you said, okay, I decide I'm the president of the United States, and then you tried to walk into the White House and and issue orders to everyone,
Right.
I'm sure these people would say, come on, that's silly, that's nonsense. But yet, anything that they think is okay to claim, they'll say, oh, that's great, that's open-minded, you know, that's forward thinking. So, but yeah, well, then we should come back and say, okay, so we're all presidents of the United States, and we all decide to live in the White House, and it'll expose how silly these people are.
Here, I can give you a good example of how stupid they are. Here's a good example of how stupid they are. Salon writes an article yesterday. They're ecstatic because someone has caught on tape what they believe is 2 male lions humping in Africa. So they write their article and they talk about the fact that there's gay lions, and if it appears in nature, you know, blah blah blah, the whole thing. So then they find out later that the lions aren't gay, that the one lion's a girl that just for some reason has kind of a mane. So then they decide to follow the article up by saying this is proof that the rest of the natural world is now rejecting the two-gender theory, and that we are the last ones to do it because clearly that lion is a trans. The female with a mane does not qualify as either sex, so it's some kind of queer trans lion or whatever. So that's proof that we're backwards. We're the backwards ones. Go ahead, try to make something sane out of that. Tell me that's not insanity.
I can't. It's
Daddy, can you clear that up? Is that any sanity in there?
Oh no, it's Salon, man. I mean, the Salon parody account makes more sense than actual Salon, and that's kind of, you know.
You know how bad it is? I've been duped by the Salon parody account a couple of times and retweeted something like, these idiots, look at this, and it turns out it's the parody account. Because, I mean, Jesus, you don't know anymore.
right.
They're just so crazy, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I'm glad I don't have young kids anymore. All I can tell you is that if I walked into a bathroom or if I saw a guy come out of the, you know, if I sent my 8-year-old daughter in the bathroom and I saw a guy come out of there, I would fucking flatten him, and I wouldn't apologize for it. Sorry, I mean, that's just the way it is. I have no question. There's no question in my mind. I'd lay the guy out. And
I mean, seriously, if you're a dad, do you have to now when you go to Target, do you just have to go into the bathroom with your daughter?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you let your kid walk into a Target bathroom unsupervised, you're fucking nuts. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. You're crazy. If you think it's safe to send your 10-year-old daughter into the ladies' room now at a Target, you're out of your mind. I would never do. Never.
This is the thing about Target, and I hate to say stuff like this if I don't have like the actual facts in front of me, but they ticked off a couple of my sisters because they did something nasty to Iraq war veterans. They banned like a charity, an Iraq war charity, from collecting at their stores or something. And so my sisters have boycotted Target for years.
They did do something. I know the incident you're talking about, and I can't remember it for some reason. I remember being fairly unhappy about it, but I can't remember what it was. I mean, I won't be going back there. I don't think, you know, I hate this. I feel like I'm calling for a boycott every week now on the show, but at some point you just got to draw a line, and to me it's a clear-cut safety issue. They're going to get someone hurt, and so I want nothing to do with it. So I'm not going back there.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a story of a spa where a guy identified as a woman and went and sat in the spa, and a lady went in with her kids, and these are little kids in the sauna, right? And this guy's sitting there on the bench, junk hanging out and stuff. She's got her little kids there, and they complain to the sauna. The sauna's like, nope, we're open-minded and all that stuff. You're just like, God damn.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, but their whole
something
is oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that the reason they like redefining all these terms is they believe that reality is socially constructed. You hear that all the time, that there's no objective reality. People agree on the meanings of terms, and when they agree on the meanings of terms, that's how it becomes reality. But what's happened is people have agreed what male means and female means, and who are they to change what people have socially agreed upon? But that's what they're trying to do.
Especially when you're 0.01%.
Yeah.
I mean, again, why is the tail wagging the dog here? And look, here's another problem, okay? When you take a place like Target, who's going to allow things like this, what is the employee? If you're an employee at Target, what do you do if some woman comes up and she says to you, "I just sent my 6-year-old daughter into the bathroom. There's some guy in there with his dick hanging out, taking a piss with its stall door open." What do you say? "Oh, too bad, lady. I guess it's time your 6-year-old learned what a dick looked like." Sorry. I mean, is that what you're supposed to say? I don't understand. These people, look, when you're a tiny, tiny minority, it is your job to adapt to society at large. It's not society's job to adapt to you. That's just the way it is. If you don't think it's fair, go to church and blame God. But that's the way life is. You adapt to the majority. The majority doesn't change everything to adapt to you. I don't understand how they think.
My parents were immigrants from the Philippines, and that's what they told us. They said, look, you're in a different culture, and you need to learn how to adapt and how to fit in. And it wasn't a bad thing to adapt to this culture and learn how to fit in. I don't know why now it's become a bad thing to adapt. So I agree with you, is all I'm saying.
It's not, because there's no shortage of studies, and I think Warpig posted a few of them that will demonstrate to you that cultures who were famous for assimilating, who are better at assimilating and fitting in wherever it is that they move to, have a higher success rate in all the categories, in employment and in education, and in not having their teens get into drugs. I mean, all the categories. If they assimilate, they try to fit in, they succeed.
Right. And again, my immigrant parents told me, yeah, look, there's going to be discrimination out there in the world because you look different. But just do your best, fit in, do great work, and people will look past that eventually.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's the thing too.
Trying to deny that there's any discrimination is silly. Anytime someone looks different, people will think strangely about that person. But again, if that person turns out to be an upstanding citizen, hard worker, does quality work, most people are reasonable and are willing to overlook any differences.
Precisely.
And I think that's a message we need to tell people, not try to eliminate discrimination from everyone's thinking, because it'll always be there. Maybe it's subtle, but it's there, but it can be overcome.
It's here's the thing too, is that the people who come and don't assimilate, the people who come and just whine and cry and bitch and moan, they are the ones that get everyone riled up, and they get the anger flowing, and they make it harder for the people who are just trying to get along, just trying to do their own thing. They're the ones that, when you get the Black Lives Matter crowd, for example, they're setting racial. Every time they tweet something or open their mouths, with my firm belief, they set race relations back 10 years. Every single time. It's just a festering, unnecessary anger.
I gotta say this because this is hilarious. This is the funniest damn thing I've seen in a long time. Somebody posted this meme and said that North Carolina was setting back LGBTQ rights 100 years. 100 years with the bathroom thing. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They're not even setting back rights 10 years. They're setting back rights to last Tuesday, which is when you invented this bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's this is a week ago. We set your rights back a whole week to back before it was acceptable for someone to, he said, why is it? I don't know how they decide who's getting lumped into this, because it seems like they add a letter. The alphabet activists will add a letter here every now and then. So now is it LGBTQ rights that are set back, or is it just the T rights that are set back? I mean, we lump in everyone. I think they're trying to pull it all together so they appear as a larger group than they really are.
I don't even know really actually what the Q meant.
Queer.
Because queer is different from lesbian,
I don't
bisexual, and gay.
Somewhere there's got to be a rule book on this shit. I have no idea.
I'm not trying to make fun of people. I'm not trying to be an asshole here for once.
I literally don't know. I have no idea, because for a long time queer was taboo. We weren't supposed to say it, but now there's a queer. I don't know what it means.
I was under the impression that queer was supposed to be the gay bashing word. That was the ugly word for gay men. That was like the N word for gay men.
Yeah, I was under the same impression. But whoever makes the rules changed it,
and so now it's a completely separate category of. So how do you get to be queer if are you queer and not gay at the same time?
I
I am honest to God trying to get an answer. I'm not trying to mess with people.
I don't know. I mean, they changed the terms for it. I mean, I miss it sometimes. I remember when they changed it from midget to little people. I didn't get that memo for like a year. I had no idea. I didn't know. I guess I missed that. I remember as a kid going down south and seeing my grandfather, right? And he was not. He was. My grandfather loved everybody. I just want to say this, but he was old, very old, and he would talk about his friends, and he had one friend. His name was Charlie, and he'd say Charlie, and I remember being like 10 and saying, or 11 and saying, who's Charlie? And he said, oh, you've met him. He's my Negro friend, Charlie. But that wasn't a pejorative. In his mind, that wasn't a pejorative word.
Right.
It was just what he was brought up saying. He says it as I might say African American. Maybe 20 years from now, African American will be offensive. I don't know the way these rules change. He didn't mean anything by it. But my father's like, Dad, that's not the thing anymore. It's I don't think African American had started then.
Surprisingly, that's actually a plot point in a Stephen King novel. In the second Dark Tower novel, a lady from the 1950s who is black, she meets a white guy from the 1980s, and he calls her black, and she's black. That's kind of a rude way to refer to Negroes, isn't it?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Because that's the word that she used. That's literally the word that black people used in the 1950s to describe themselves. But I'm watching WKRP right now, okay? I just finished the first season of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Wow.
And you can tell that Les Nessman is supposed to be the square, the loser, because he calls black people Negroes. And so
right.
in the 10 years after the end of the 50s and the beginning of the 70s, that became bad. You're like a retrograde racist for using that term.
Right.
And I expect, honestly, if you use the term Negroes in a serious manner today, you'd likely get your ass kicked.
Right.
Well, it's interesting to me that when they change these words, when the PC police or whoever it is that makes up these rules, I don't even know who makes up these rules. There's got to be
I think Al Sharpton got the last change in. I think he started the last change.
Yeah, because that, remember when he tried to label Jews as Hebes and it didn't catch on, so he had to move on to something else.
he got the people of color thing. That was really, honestly, I'm not. I am trying to be an asshole, but it's actually the truth. It was Al Sharpton.
That's what you're right, because that's what I was trying to remember what we told my grandfather was, because this is all going way back, and I think my father had said, Dad, it's not, they don't say Negro names, they say people of color. I think that's what it was. And then after that, I think it went to African American. But I will emphasize once again, my father's, one of the things that he is most proud about with my grandfather is that him and this guy Charlie, they were friends for years. They worked in nurseries. My grandfather was sort of a I don't know what you call him, groundskeeper maybe. Well, they were working at Disney. This is back when the shrubs and stuff and all that that you see in the entrance to Disney, that's what they planted. He was working there before Disney was open. He was a horticulturist, I guess you would call him. So he would go into the diners for lunch, and they wouldn't let Charlie sit inside and sit at the counter. So my grandfather would get the lunch. He'd go outside and they'd sit on the curb and they'd eat together. That's what he did. So I want to emphasize once again, the guy, he didn't mean it. He just didn't know any better. I always think it's interesting that generationally, there's people, when they change these words, they kind of get caught in the middle where they don't know. They don't get the memo, or it's just not how they're brought up. They don't mean anything by it. But if they, I think to myself, what if he said that in the middle? What if he'd have come up here and said that in the middle of the mall, and like 10 people heard him? Can you imagine what would have happened?
Well, see, I have now got the official word from at least 3 different black people I met through Gamergate that it's not person of color anymore or African American. It's actually black. You're supposed to use black now, and I'm still kind of like nervous when I use black. I'm like, is that racist? Am I going to sound like I hate black people if I say black?
Yeah, but see, this is what I mean. They should make a website somewhere and just update it so that we know. Because how the hell do you know? Because when I was a kid, you weren't supposed to say that. You were supposed to say African American or people of color, I think, was the thing when I was in high school. So I don't know. If they're going to change it back to black, then I have to know. I got to get a memo on this.
Well, see, that's why
Before I
that's
go
why
to the
asked.
Crossgates Mall here and get punched in the face,
I
I'd like to know what it is.
I asked Oliver, um, and I think I asked Ruckus and one other guy, and I got the word from all three, so I figure that's pretty good. And plus, if it's actually rude and somebody calls me on it, I'm covered anyway, because I can say, well, I asked Gamergate and they told me it was okay, right?
Well, you know what you do. What if you just say? What if you're like Sean King and you just say that you identify as black? Then what? Then you can just use whatever word you want, right?
Oh, I got to tell you this story. I was Mexican for 3 months.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I am not even joking. I wish I was
Oh,
joking.
black explaining, he says.
I was I was Mexican for 3 months because my sister went and did one of those ancestry testing um, kits, and it said that our family had a sixth
Uh-huh.
Hispanic or Spanish, literally from the Iberian Peninsula ancestry. So I became Hispanic. I was Hispanic for 3 months until I found out two things. One, that the company that she got the results from was so cheap because they used like third tier quality genetic population database. They used bad data.
Oh,
And
So you're
then
really white.
and then I sent my own genetic testing kit into a reliable company that costs twice as much but actually gives you reliable results, and I found out that I am not, in point of fact, Spanish at all, even a little bit. So I was like, wow, I'm not Hispanic
Are
anymore.
you sure?
Man, can I be trans-Hispanic now? Does that
But
qualify?
how do you feel? Do you feel Hispanic? Do you identify? Because you can just identify that way.
I actually went into a hospital, and the lady at the hospital was asking me what my race was. She says, "Are you Hispanic?" I'm like, "I don't know. The test is out."
See, I would love to get those test results because then I would just use them. I would be, I'm applying for job. You apply for a job sometimes, and they send you the form, or you white, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I am. So there's I'd love to be able to say I'm Hispanic.
Yeah, I think I'm like
Maybe I'll be a Pacific Islander
95%,
for a while.
97% the whitest of the white. I mean, I am Northwestern, British, European all the way. I've got like,
Oh my God, I'm so white.
You're
I could not
white.
be.
yeah, I am the oppressor. I am the man. I am colonialism and imperialism and all of that.
I could not be anywhere. I could not be anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
the most genetic
what
diversity in my family line.
Did you ever get the right results?
Oh yeah, because we've got we've got a 4 generations ancestry chart where we chart where who my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and so on were, and they all came from like Ireland and the Isle of Man and Great Britain, and we are a variety of very, very white people. It's like all the white people in the world got together to make a family that was the whitest of the white people.
Hey, I have to get off at 7 to help some students, actually. So you guys can
All right.
continue
Oh,
on.
you know what? We can before. Now, I was going to try and keep it to an hour anyway because we got Ash coming on next week, and I got a few things I want to do. But before we get off, I do want to discuss one more quick topic.
Oh, sure.
Daddy Warpig, what do you think about the article I sent you earlier with Game Informer, GameStop going into the games publishing business?
Well, here's the thing. I have no idea whether GameStop is going to be an ethical publisher or whether they're going to be a bunch of assholes like EA. So, if they treat their companies well, I don't have a problem with it. I don't really care one way or the other. I mean, if they're disreputable assholes, then yeah, that's a problem.
I wonder how their trade-ins are going to be with their games. If I bring them in there, am I still going to get the same 75 cents on a game?
75.
GameStop operates, Professor, much the same way as college bookstores do.
Yeah.
where you bring the book back and they say, okay, that's worth $5, and you're like, what are you fucking kidding me? I paid $200 for it at the beginning of the semester.
Here's $5.
It's not like I ran it through the dishwasher. What the hell's going on here? Quick story on the end here. When I was in college, okay, I had gone through. This is my final semester, and I was just so sick and tired of the bookstore ripping me off. Especially because at the beginning of the semester, I had forgotten I had to buy a Hemingway book, and I ran to the bookstore to get it. It was like $20, and I knew I could have went and got it for $5 anywhere else. It's a paperback book. So anyway, at the end of the semester, I gather up all my books, right, and I go back. There's a line to return your books to get money, to have them bought back by the library. And I get to the front, and the lady says, totals it up, and she says it's like $45 or something. And I look at her, and I've been doing a slow burn for 4 years, I look at her, and I'm like, wait a minute. I paid well over $200 for these books. Why in the world? I can only refer you to bookstore policy. I go, you know what? Never mind. I've been hearing this for 4 years. This is what we're going to do. I picked up all the books. I turned around. I dropped them in the trash can. And I go, there. I'd rather throw them out. Screw you. That's how I ended my college career, on a tantrum.
That's awesome. Like a mic drop, but it's a book drop.
Yeah, I dropped you. Dude, I'm telling you, other students behind me applauded.
And then they dug your book out of the trash can and made $45.
I know, right? They probably did. You know what? Fine. If some struggling freshman behind me dug him out and made $45, I'd rather. God bless him. He deserves it. But as far as yeah.
Even worse than the insult of giving you no money for the books is when you get up there and they're like, well, we would give you $5 for this $500 book, but we've bought back too many of them and we just can't buy back yours.
Yeah.
Right. You know what's even worse is when you realize that the goddamn professor wrote the thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a racket, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
That's how they make a lot of money. You get something like $8 per book if it's like a $100 book, so close to $20 for a $200 book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then they'll take your book, they'll give you $5 for it, mark it back up to $50 when the new one's like, oh, the new one's $51.
I know. No, the professors make a lot of money using their books, especially the ones in the classes that are like 400 students, and they get $20 per book sale. Yeah.
It is just a racket. But they're not, they don't do it for the profit though. They don't do it for the profit. They do it for social justice. I saw Mizzou had to close two dorm rooms down because they don't have enough people enrolled anymore.
That's freaking heartbreaking is what that is, man.
It is so heartbreaking. All right, guys. Oh, you know what? One more thing. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm going to let you go right now, I promise you.
Okay.
I have moved over on the Xbox. I have switched over from the Division, and I am playing Far Cry Primal. I'll give you a full review on it next week, and I know I'm late to the game, but it was just one of those things. It was like the last one I was going to get to. I just had other games I wanted to try.
Wait, just real quickly. So Far Cry Primal is a new title that just came out?
Yeah. It's Caveman Far Cry.
Yeah, it's Caveman Far Cry. That's what it is.
No, I want to play that. Okay.
So I'll let you know next week how it is. So far, it's pretty fun. I'll give a full review on it next week. I'm only about 3 or 4 hours into it. The Division is having issues. I played it on PS4 and on Xbox, so I was scouring their website earlier trying to get a statement, see if they had a statement issued on it so I could tell everyone here, but some of their daily missions are not resetting, and some of their missions are not starting at all. And there was an issue where your character was being deleted, but it turned out that they fixed that problem. They had like a rogue server that wasn't saving the characters the way they were supposed to, but they were all restored, so no one actually lost anything there. And that issue's fixed, but there are other issues with the daily missions. And whatever update, that last update they did clearly introduced some bugs that they weren't counting on. So I know they're shooting them down one day at a time here, but there's issues, and it's not just if you have it on PS4 and you're seeing the issues. I assure you, the issues are on Xbox and PS4 because I've played both titles today just to see, and the issues are the same on both of them. So it's not a console thing. It's it's system wide. It's whatever they did with that last update, they screwed something up. So that's where that stands. I've still played it on the PS4, so anybody wants to join me, Professor, I know you won't because you're a PC snob and you refused it. Oh, there it is. It's the
Forgot to
Bloodborne hat.
put on this hat. Okay.
Oh, look, I can see Dark Souls 3 over your shoulder. Is that what you're...
No, I'm really going to help students. I'm not going to play. I
You
promise.
liar! Oh my God, that is another demerit. You know what? Bacon Bits is going to have a team employee meeting, and we have to do something. We have to do something about this attitude. All right, everyone, join us next week when Ash is back. We will find out about her female privilege that she enjoys on Twitter, and I'm going to see if I can get her to revoke.
Send us questions to ask Ash.
Yes, questions for Ash, DM me or baconbit6000@gmail.com if you want to. Professor, you owe me an article for baconbitshow.com, by the way.
That's right. Yeah,
I've been trying to crank them out on my own here, but I'm out of steam, and I can only crank out so many of them in a week. So I need some help.
Ultimate Dark Souls 3 review.
Beautiful. I will take that. I will love that, and I will read it, and then I'll go, that was great.
It was great. I know.
All right. Join us next week for Ash. Thank you, guys. We will see you all next
Thanks for
week.
watching.